Yeah, I'm not happy. Super Rugby 2025, quarterfinals, Reds versus the Crusaders. First off, I have to congratulate Crusaders. Pretty solid performance overall. And the Reds, pretty poor handling, lots of errors, scrum penalties. I don't want to get too much into that stuff because that's a bit of a, all I want to say about all the scrum penalties is that Paul Williams, when the scrum collapsed for pretty much the entire season, not pretty much, for the entire season, because I watch every fucking game, for the entire season, Paul Williams has given out probably one scrum penalty for a collapsed scrum for the entire season. Usually they just let you get the ball out and play on. For some reason tonight, he's given like penalties after penalties after penalties against the Reds for the scrum, for collapsing the scrum. So yeah, I don't know what has changed. I don't know what Paul Williams has learned in the last week or so that has led him to determine that a collapsed scrum is suddenly a penalty. It's something he hasn't done for the entire season, probably his entire career actually. He suddenly learned something this week, and but hey, that's yeah, good on you, Paul. You've learned how to finally do your job, I guess. But the big problem for me is that the Crusaders clearly abused the HIA tonight for a substitution loophole. So tonight was the return of Will Jordan, and he's being obviously big All Black key player for the All Blacks, and the management obviously don't want him to play the full 80 minutes. But hey, how do you get him off the field without having to put a second fullback on the field? Because you only got James O'Connor that covers 10 and 15. How do you do that without putting another fullback on the field and waste, and so what they've done, they actually faked a HIA on Reihana, taking it off the field pretty much exactly, all right? Just exactly at the limit which of time you're allowed to be off the field for an HIA, and then put him on just before halftime, 11 minutes before halftime, and then put him back onto the field immediately in the second half, giving Reihana about a 20-minute break to play the second half, and allowing James O'Connor to play 10 minutes in the first half, and then come on in the second half to replace Will Jordan instead. Now you might be like, Wildkard, they're just that's just bullshit, right? I'll show you right here. Now, first off, pretty sure a HIA can only be initiated by an independent doctor. Look who's on the field to check for HIA. The Crusaders medic. This is a Crusaders medic. He's got the Crusaders, hat on. He's literally just come on and say, hey, time for you to come off for a 10-minute break, Reihana. Look. It's just gone off. That's the moment, right? That's the moment they've got him off the field, okay? I just want you to see that it's not an independent doctor. It's the Crusaders doctor on the field saying, hey, time to come off. And he's just like, oh, yeah, all right, let's go. They know nothing has happened because all that has happened leading into this HIA was a maul and then a try to the Crusaders. Reihana got involved for a pretend clean out, right? We can literally watch everything that's happened leading into this so-called HIA, and we can see nothing, absolutely nothing happened to Reihana. So there's the more. 10 is not even involved. This is it. This is everything that happened leading into this so-called HIA. This is the more, right? And then, okay, let's go back a little bit more, right? So you can see the whole thing. This is the more. Reihana runs in for a clean out. He's right there. No one's touched him. He's just there. Hardly touched him, right? You can see everything that he's done. You can see exactly everything he's done. There's a more, right? He just went in and pretended for a clean out. Nothing happened to him. And he's taken off for a HIA. I want you to watch this very clearly. Nothing happened to him, right? For some reason, he's on the wing, right? He goes in, he's right there. Nothing happened. Hardly touched him, right? I mean, if that's enough to get him off for HIA, that's it. That's it. That's a try. It's a more. and he tried to fake the clean out, and that's a try, and he's taken off for HIA. And if you look at the clock, right, and HIA is allowed 12 minutes for him to return onto the field. 12 minutes. And Crusader has timed it exactly under 12 minutes. After he's taken the kick, after he's taken the kick, he's taking the kick right now. It's exactly under 12 minutes. And they've taken him off the field for a 20-minute break. 20-minute break. The Crusaders trainer coming on, telling him it's time to take a break. And then, just so you know, James O'Connor is on right now, just so you know that I'm not making some bullshit up, right? James O'Connor is right there. That's James O'Connor right there, right? So, they've taken him off the field, and if, you know, based on what you saw, right, if he had actually been enough taking a HIA, he should be back on the field within about 5 minutes. There's no reason for him to be off the field for the full 11 minutes for the assessment, only to return in the second half. There's no reason for him to be that long. If that was actually a legit, like, that's James O'Connor on the field right there. If that was actually a legitimate HIA, he would have been on the field 5 minutes, not 12 minutes, 5 minutes before halftime. But no, they wanted him to take the full 20-minute break and take off Will Jordan in the second half instead of James O'Connor replacing Reihana. See, James O'Connor's on the field in the second half again, and he's replaced Will Jordan instead of Reihana. So just see if we can get a shot with them both on the field at some point. Yeah, it is just awful. Awful. Disgraceful. This is just not what the game is about. This is just not what the game is about, right? The game is not about abusing the HIA laws. I'm pretty sure this should be like a fine or something. Like abusing HIA laws. It's like last time someone, like, you know, a while ago, I think someone used some fake blood to get someone off for a HIA for a blood bin. Used to fake blood. I'm pretty sure those people were like fired or like banned from rugby. There was some. This is some pretty serious stuff. You can't abuse medical stuff, medical policies like that. Like, it's just like unbelievable, right? Like, it's just, there he is. He's back on the field with James O'Connor. Second half, right? So it is just unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I just, yeah, I'm really disappointed to see that. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Let's talk about the game, huh? Let's talk about the game. So, yeah, big win for the Crusaders. Other than blatant cheating, this was actually a pretty good performance. I just don't get it. Like, you don't need to do that. Just you don't need to do that. You could have won the game without doing it. And they just did it anyway because they could. Yeah. Anyway, Crusaders won this game. Congratulations. I don't know what else to say. The Reds, I don't know if it's a away game. I don't know what has happened, but just really not performing. Just lots of handling errors. Like the commentators try to blame on the rain. The Reds played in the rain quite a lot in Queensland this year, so I don't think the rain is the issue. Everybody looks a bit disconnected. Lots of ill discipline, lots of like offside, and I think that may have put up the Reds a little bit. And you know, it is times like that you really need to dig deep and stay composed. And I just think that maybe the Reds, I really don't know. I think that again the pressure, I think the pressure, I do think that the Reds play too much of the season with, like, they changed the players a bit way too much. I think that's probably the one thing that you could say the handling errors was a problem. Obviously, there were injuries against the Reds, but you know, it's just I just feel like Let's Kiss may have just shuffled up the back line, shuffled up the 4-pack a little bit too much too often, especially like the front rowers. you know, they just have, it's just the inconsistent selections there all season. The center and fullback combinations as well. You know, it's just not really consistent in some of those positions in terms of selection policy. I think that's probably the one thing that I could think of that led to a lot of the errors tonight. But yeah, overall, I think Crusaders just played better, to be honest. But anyway, let's have a look at the game. 5 tries to 2, 302 run meters to the Crusaders, to the Reds 324. 114 carries for the Crusaders and 113 for the Reds. 17 turnovers considered for both teams. So both teams were having some problems, but the Reds just weren't able to execute. And yeah, just lots of penalties. 136 tackles made by the Crusaders, 18 missed tackles. 154 tackles by the Reds, 17 missed tackles. The Reds actually had better tackle completion rate there. 31 kicks in play to the 29 for the Reds. 3 conversions and miss for the Crusaders, 2 missed for the Reds. I mean, these missed conversions could probably get them into probably not good enough for them to win the season for the Crusaders. I really need to figure that out. 1,080 kick meters for the Crusaders, 767 for the Reds. Lineouts, 1 loss for the Crusaders out of 11, no loss for the Reds out of 12. And yeah, the scrum was a big problem tonight. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how Paul Williams suddenly decided to give out scrum penalties every time the scrum's gone down, and hardly giving out any scrum penalties for the entire season. It's yeah, you can explain that to me if you want. And the penalties count 6 against the Crusaders, 11 against the Reds. Yeah, literally like 5 of those were just scrum penalties against the Reds. So if you take those out, this was pretty even. There was 1 yellow card against Ethan Blackadder for a co-hanger tackle. It is just what it is. He just reacted late for the penalty. But yeah, let's have a quick recap of the game, of what happened. So yeah, the game again, really early on, the Crusaders had some scrum dominance, and immediately showing that could have been a problem going into for the rest of the game. Let's go have the point summary. Yeah, so about 15 minutes into the game, the Reds were on a 5-meter defensive lineout. Scooty stuck his hand out, and then Fraser McRae was trying to run the ball out, and he kind of ripped the ball out of Fraser McRae's hand, essentially, basically forced a knock on, and then he scooped up the ball, crashed over for the try. Scooty got the first one for the Crusaders, 5-0. And then the game just kind of stalled a little bit. The Reds trying to build some pressure, lots of knock-ons. It took about 27 minutes for the Crusaders to get another penalty. They went for the line-out. Again, they went for the more, like you just said just right there. They went for the more, and a pick and go for Tamati Williams, winning for the try. And, Rivez Reihana gets taken off, despite Tamati Williams clearly looked like he was hurt from the pick and go. Yeah, really, I can't believe I saw that, actually. Really blatant cheating, I think. 12-0. And then second half, that's the half-time score, 12-0 for the game. And then second half starts, Reihana immediately comes back on the field in the second half. I was like, hang on. That's when I thought it was a bit fishy, because you can't go off the field for so long and then come back on. And I checked the time. It was perfectly timed just to give him the max amount of breakage time. So yeah, anyway, 56 minutes in the game. There was a try for the Crusaders. Holtham did a little kick over the top, and then he chased the ball down himself for the try. 19-0, just a pure individual try. They kicked this one. Yeah, they kicked this one, converted this one, 19-0. After this, 59 minutes, there was not a penalty for the Crusaders. They kicked this one about 45 minutes out, 22-0. More scrum penalties were given out, and they gave, at this point, it's about 5 scrum penalties against the Reds. 64 minutes of the game, there was another more for the Crusaders. They got pretty close, and the ball went out wide over the top. Reihana goes over for the try. 27-0. After this, finally the Reds would get themselves on the ball. There was they went for the line out, went for the more, and Ethan Blackadder was sent off for a yellow card for high tackle, coat hanger tackle. And then the Reds went for another more, getting one over for the try with play in the bin. 7-27. And then after this, 76 minutes of the game, Reds had another shot at a try. Again, pretty close to try line. The ball went out wide to Harry Wilson. And then Fraser McRae on the win. The two forwards, Wilson, little chip over the top. Weirdest. It looks almost like he he like placed the ball on his foot and bounced it off. It didn't look like he kicked it. He literally looked like he placed the ball on his foot to bounce it forward. And then Fraser McRae followed this one through for the try. 27 points to 12. And then finally 78 minutes, Crusaders gets one last shot on the ball into the corner. Kyle Preston came on and went in for the try. And that was the final score. 32 points to 12. And yeah, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. Congratulations to the Crusaders and Rob Penny and his cheating substitutions. And good luck for your next round. Cheers.